Welcome to a brand new season of W&L Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. Early September means the turning of a new page in the storied history of Washington and Lee athletics. It's a privilege to begin my 10th season of covering the Generals, starting as the sports editor of the Ringtum Phi, and now in my current capacity as general manager of WLUR. Each week on this show, you'll see interviews with students who excel at the athletic venues and in the classroom. We'll also talk with the coaches who maintain Washington and Lee's standard for excellence in Division III. But today we have a special guest. Longtime women's lacrosse and soccer coach Jan Hathorn became the director of athletics at Washington and Lee in July 2007. She's with us in the studio now. Jan, welcome to W&L Sports Weekly.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How exciting is this time of year for you as athletics director?
I love this time of year. It's outstanding because not only is the whole school year starting, but it's just the beginning of another season, a fall sports season, as well as all our seasons. Everybody's cranking up. Before we get to the end of September, we'll have almost every team on our campus practicing or playing. So I just love this time of year. It's thrilling.
2008-2009 was another banner year for Washington and Lee athletics. 8 conference champions, the opening of the new Wilson Field, and countless all-conference, all-region, all-American accolades. What will you remember most about last year?
Probably what I'll remember most, there's so many memories, first of all, but secondly, I think the most important things will be some of the first-time championships we've ever had. Baseball comes to mind. Haven't won a conference championship since we've been in the ODAC. It was a fantastic, exciting, thrilling time, and I still think probably the baseball program's a little bit on cloud 9, which was just one of the greatest boosts in the arm for our athletic department. Partly because Coach Stickley's been with us for so long, and he does such great work, and we're all such fans of Coach Stickley. But also just because those guys play as hard as anybody out there, and for them to finally be at the top of the heap was just awesome. Another thing that I'll remember is the women's indoor championship for women's track. For years we have been trying to make a name for ourselves in the indoor-outdoor track world for women. The track history for the men has always been somewhat illustrious, and in the recent past is sort of regaining ground, but on the women's side, we haven't really ever achieved that high level on the track side, not excluding cross country. So that was just a thrill, especially because some of the women that helped make that possible were some people that are just outstanding students on our campus. So, and then that golf repeated as champions of the ODAC was also a real highlight for me. And men's lacrosse winning their first championship in, I guess, 5 or 6 years has sort of reestablished that level of excellence for that program. So there are a lot of highlights, but those are the ones that stand out.
Highlights in the classroom as well. 223 Washington and Lee Generals were scholar athletes last year. I did the math, and that means that 1 out of every 8 members of the student body, much less the number of student athletes, received that designation. What does that tell you about Washington and Lee student athletes?
Well, it says a whole lot about Washington and Lee student athletes. I think in a general sense, it says the most about their drive to excel. They're ambitious people, they're hardworking young men and women, and they care deeply about the things that they do. I have always believed, because of coaching here, that if you can get a Washington and Lee student athlete to fully believe in what they're doing, you will get all you can out of them, and they will strive to achieve excellence at every minute, as best they can. And I think that's what this proves. On top of the fact that they're doing some kind of maybe shy of miraculous multitasking and time management skills are going on in the background, because these, as we all know, these men and women are pushed in the classroom as well as on the field. So it says, it's just kudos to them, first of all, for the way that they manage themselves and their time and all that they do. And secondly, I think it just highlights the outstanding character of the men and women that play for us and go to school here.
You were one of the pioneers with women's sports at Washington and Lee, and the women's teams continue to excel. How do you explain that kind of success, especially for a school that has been co-ed for less than a quarter century?
Well, I'm not sure there's a right answer to that question. I think probably one of the most important things to highlight is the fact that Washington and Lee, when we decided to become co-educational, they made sure that there was everything we needed for women's athletics to take off and be right from the beginning. So the quality of the equipment, the facilities, all the things that were necessary to get programs started was there from day one. And it has been that way ever since 1987 when I got here. And even actually before I even got here, because all the pre-planning and all the work that went behind the scenes. But I also think it's a testimony to the women who play here and the kind of women that want to attend Washington and Lee and that we get here every year. I think a lot of it is just that they are out there to do as well as possible. They want to make history in some of those. For example, the women's indoor track team, that has been one of their goals for those seniors that graduated all the years they've been here. Those kinds of things are the reason and some of the impetus behind why I think the women's teams have been as successful. You
coached the lacrosse team for 19 years and the soccer team for 14. Do you miss that kind of hands-on involvement working with the individual players and teams?
Yeah, I do. I miss that. It doesn't, I do get to see those student athletes and many other student athletes, which has been one of the benefits of being in the position I'm in now. I know more people who are athletes on our campus than I ever did before, because it was really easy, especially when I was head coach of both sports, to just really get sucked into, blinders on in my world. But I've truly enjoyed getting to know some of the other student athletes, and in particular some of the men's athletes that I never was able to watch play, like the men's lacrosse team or the men's soccer team when I was coaching the women's soccer team. It was always very hard to get to those contests and see them compete. So yeah, there's certainly times when I miss it, but I feel like I've traded off some other benefits and I still have a pretty good connection to student athletes.
Does it seem like it's been 2 years since you took the post as AD?
No, it's gone really, really fast. This is the third year. It's really hard to believe. I've truly enjoyed the time that I've had in this situation, or in this chair. I think the first year just flew by because the stadium was being built. And then last year when the stadium was built, but then we had to do the dedication and did all the wonderful things that were part of opening such a great facility. Made the beginning of the year fly by, and by the time I sort of felt like I was catching up to what's normal in the position of an athletic director without a stadium being built and being dedicated, it was pretty much the middle of spring and the school year was over. So it has gone very fast. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and it is hard to believe that it's year 3.
What can we expect from General's athletics teams here in 2009-2010?
Well, I think we'll see another outstanding year. What I see behind the scenes tells me that we're going to do everything possible as a coaching staff and a department to make sure that the quality and the excellence that we've sort of become accustomed to is going to be maintained. We have outstanding coaches, we have an outstanding staff, and staff meaning from administrative assistants to custodial and stadium crews, all the way up to the head coaches and their assistants. The sports information office, the athletic trainers, all the folks that make athletics possible and what it is today, all those folks are working very, very hard. And I see that especially all summer when it comes to recruiting and just getting prepared. Our new website for athletics is another perfect example of just another level of quality and class that I think is being brought to what it is we do every day in the PE athletic department. So with all that in place and all that sort of being fundamental to what we do, I can't imagine that this year wouldn't be any different from the years past, that we can expect our teams to excel and that they're going to have good seasons. And as I said earlier, this is my favorite time of year. I can't wait to really sort of officially get rolling and see how this weekend's going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to see how we fare.
Well, Jan, we thank you for joining us here, and we wish all the Generals teams the best of luck this season.
Thanks for having me.
After Washington and Lee kicked off its 2009-2010 athletic year with a thrilling but ultimately heartbreaking 29-27 loss to Franklin and Marshall in football on Saturday, the other fall teams swing in action this weekend. Volleyball hosts the annual W&L Invitational with the best field in the history of the tournament. Joining the 8-time defending ODAC champions this Friday and Saturday will be top-ranked and defending national champion Emory, number 2 Juniata, USA South Power Christopher Newport, and local rival Southern Virginia. Field hockey begins the year with 2 tough home matches. Number 11 Johns Hopkins visits on Friday evening, while the Generals will entertain McDaniel on Saturday. The cross-country teams host the W&L Invitational on Saturday morning. The women's race begins at 10, while the men will start at 11. Back on the gridiron, the Generals host the second of 3 straight home games as longtime rival Sewanee comes to Wilson Field. Kickoff is at 1. The men's soccer team will be at Sewanee for tournament matches against Birmingham Southern and the Tigers. Women's soccer travels to Fayetteville, North Carolina to face Greensboro College and Methodist. And the ODAC Men's Tennis Singles Championship will be up for grabs in Lexington this weekend. For the latest scores, schedules, and news about the Generals, visit the all-new Washington and Lee Athletics website at generalsports.com. That's all for this edition of W&L Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. Thanks for watching.